us to bring in our panel. First of all, Skyping in from Washington, D.C., Ben Wikler, the Washington director of MoveOn.org and host of The Good Fight. And in our Newsmax South Florida newsroom, Javier Manjarres, the managing editor of the Shark Tank political blog. Gentlemen, last night we saw protests from New York City through Seattle. Ben Wikler, do you think the protests will continue nationwide tonight and the rest of this week?
Absolutely. I think we're going to be seeing protests throughout America of, African Americans, white people, Latinos, people of all races and creeds standing together and saying that this is wrong. This is a system that's not working. And I think, frankly, the only heartening thing that's coming out of this tragedy is that as a nation, we're having a moment of recognition that something needs to change, something that I think transcends politics in this moment. It's a sense of sadness and a sense that it's time for action.
I don't understand what system is broken or not working. I mean, these are isolated incidents. These incidents aren't about a race or about crimes committed. Obviously, this guy Garner unfortunately lost his life because he was peddling cigarettes, and he was put in a chokehold and he died. What about Mr. Brown in Ferguson? He actually robbed a convenience store and was confronted by a cop, attacked the police officer, and was shot. These are isolated incidents. This is not about a race. It's about crime.
Well, the Eric Garner case appears to be very different from Michael Brown's. Garner's death, we have that video, and the video showed one of the officers with his arm up around the neck using what some call a chokehold, and a chokehold is banned by the NYPD. Now, going forward, is it conceivable, apart from the protests and all that surrounds that, is this an opportunity for the left and the right and the NYPD to at least deal with its own rules and its own officers in its own way, even failing a grand jury indictment? Ben Wikler, to you first.
Aside from Javier, what we're seeing both on the right and on the left is people looking at the statistics, looking at these specific incidents and at the broader picture, and saying that our criminal justice system is not serving the cause of justice. We have a system that results in very, very few indictments of police officers when they use lethal force, and constantly puts people in jail for very minor crimes. It's a system that seems to be dedicated to moving people behind bars rather than keeping us safe. We can save lives and we can save money by listening to Rand Paul, listening to Cory Booker. There are leaders on all sides of the political spectrum taking a page from Texas, which is making criminal justice reform one of its top priorities. That's something we can do as a nation. And we've been talking for the last several weeks about where is the possible common ground with the Republican Senate and Republican House and this White House. I think we've found it here. This is the time when we need to take a step back, think, what is our criminal justice system for? Is it about militarizing communities? Is it about ratcheting up tensions on the street? Or is it about keeping us all safe and making sure that our system lives up to the ideals of this nation?
And sadly, Ben, also the temptation, is it about politicizing what is an intensely emotional wedge issue to perhaps set forth the meme or the guideline of a quota on crime? Javier, a minute remains. Your take on the politicizing of all of these incidents.
Well, you just said it. This is just a political game by the left. I mean, and even some on the right. But look, where is the outcry of when black police officers shoot and kill white teens or men or Hispanics? There isn't any. It only comes from the left, from the radicals who cry foul when a black teen or a man is killed. Look, when you have people like Al Sharpton and Eric Garner.
In the 1990s, conservatives were very concerned about government overreach, about law enforcement, ATF agents. I'd love to hear the same kind of concern from you right now. This is something that everyone can agree on. There needs to be some changes to keep people safe.
One thing we cannot change. Let me get in here. I think we're all concerned. I have to be concerned with the clock. Time is more than a four-letter word. It's a reality in television. We're going to step aside for a couple of minutes. We'll come back and continue our conversation here on America's Forum. We need to continue our conversation about this troubling matter. We continue on with Ben Wikler, Skyping in from Washington, the Washington director for MoveOn.org and host of The Good Fight, and from our South Florida newsroom, the managing editor of the Shark Tank political blog, Javier Manjarres. Javier, Rand Paul, in terms of striking a note, the left is actually saying he was bemoaning a cigarette tax, but it seems to be broader, a kind of live and let live libertarian Republican philosophy. I hate to pivot to politics out of this incident, but politics is a reality. Does that message help separate Rand Paul from the pack of Republican candidates in terms of a libertarian, independent, perhaps even Democrat appeal?
Well, no. Look, it's unfortunate what happened, as we all agree. But again, why did Mr. Garner die? He died because he was selling overtaxed cigarettes and trying to make a living to support his 6 kids. And again, he died not because of an overzealous cop wanted to shoot and kill him or actually choke and kill him. He was trying to subdue Mr. Garner. But again, as far as Rand Paul, I think he's right on his remarks. Again, however you want to take it, so be it. If he's the libertarian that sets him apart from the rest of the potential presidential pack in 2016, so be it. But again, if he wants to focus on the cigarette tax, that's not the broader issue. The broader issue, again, is racial division in this country, and I think Ben and I both agree that it needs to be addressed.
Ben, let me turn to you. To simplify it as a complaint against the cigarette tax, that's not really what Rand Paul was saying, was it?
You know, I think Rand Paul, the heart of his comments, it wasn't about the cigarette tax. It was this larger point that he's been courageous in bringing up throughout his career, a point about a system that is stacked against many people in this country, a system where we have essentially over-criminalized so much of our society, and then we over-enforce. I don't think it's a system that serves anyone well, but especially it doesn't serve people of color who are incarcerated at far higher rates for crimes that often shouldn't be crimes that they commit at no higher rates than anyone else. That's something Rand Paul's been very forthright about, and I do think that it gives him a political edge. I hope it's a political edge that other Republican candidates will try to take back from him by reaching out across the aisle and looking to change a system that, frankly, takes many lives, many far from the headlines.
JD, a crime is a crime. If you commit it, regardless of whether you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian, you have to serve the sentence if you're sentenced to something. Look, again,
Javier, in this case, Eric Garner was trying to break up a fight. There was no reason that he needed to be subdued. And then he was put into this chokehold that was banned. This is the situation where
we don't know if it was banned. You don't know if it was banned. So let's just hold judgment there.
Okay, well, let's take a step back from that. The question here is whether you think, whether any of us think, that the kind of intensely aggressive policing that we saw on that videotape that led to Eric Garner's death, whether that's the kind of system that we want across this country,
and
whether that's the kind of system that reduces crime the most effectively.
Let's let Javier respond.
Police tactics. You have
30 seconds, Javier.
Well, look, you disagree with the chokehold, but a lot of chokeholds have saved lives, have subdued criminals, violent criminals. So unfortunately, this man died. Maybe he had other pre-existing health conditions that led to this. We don't know. We don't know. I mean, we don't even know if that, like I said, if that chokehold was illegal.
Well, it is obviously a story we will continue to follow. And as mentioned, even in something like this, or perhaps because politics and policy are so interwoven, obviously there is a political dimension to this story as well. That's why some colleges have courses about American jurisprudence and the political process. To Ben Wikler and Javier Manjarres, we thank you for your time, and we'll be right back.